2019 sucked. Well, not for video games, but for me personally. Yeah, 2019 has just been a year full of ups and downs and lots of downs. So I'm not going to get into that, but I do want to talk about the top 10 games of 2019 that helped me forget about just how horrible of a year this has been. My list is not going to be too conventional. You're going to see some games on here that you might find on other top 10 lists, but I either didn't get a chance to play them or play enough of them to gather an opinion of, which is why you're not going to see Fire Emblem Three Houses. Sorry! Speaking of anime, I am giving away 2 weekend passes to SAC Anime on the weekend of January 3rd through 5th. If you'd like to win, be sure to enter down in the description below. There is a Gleam link asking you to do different kinds of entries of sorts. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll announce the winners on Friday. That said, let's get right into the games. Now, this was a game to really start the year off with. However, it also came out the same day as Metroid Prime 4's Delay, so I was also really depressed while playing it. Resident Evil 2 is a damn good remake, so much so that it got multiple Game of the Year nominations and a place on my list. I know most top 10 Game of the Year rules state that you can't have a remake or remaster on these kind of lists, but Resident Evil 2 is a special case that changes and adds so much from the original game. The big change being an over-the-shoulder perspective and voice acting that doesn't make you cringe. I haven't beaten Claire's scenario yet, but I have to now that Resident Evil 3 comes out next year. That said, why is Resident Evil 2 only number 10 on my list? Very simple really, because how can you expect me to enjoy anything after watching this? You can't. I love games from Software, and I also f***ing hate them. I don't know why I keep buying their new releases, because I go through the same motions every time. I enjoy it, I feel great every time I beat a boss, and then I get stuck on a section and I never come back to it. However, with Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, I did the same thing, which is why it's only number 9 on my list, but I still think it deserved that Game of the Year trophy at the Game Awards. Sekiro brings new elements to the Souls genre, those being a focus on parrying rather than dodging or blocking, and now we have jumping and a grappling hook. How very intuitive. Sekiro also has something I don't see many other games have, and that is the satisfaction I feel when I've defeated a boss I've been stuck on for a long time. The same can be said for other From Software games, which is why I like them for a period of time. Maybe I will return to Sekiro to see if I can get any farther, but then I would have to relearn the mechanics and everything else, and yeah, maybe not. There's a lot I like about Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and a lot I don't like. I don't like how short the campaign is, and I don't like how poorly the online maps are designed. That said, I still enjoyed the game for a number of reasons. 1. The gunplay has been seriously revamped. They have actual recoil this time, and you can now mount them on just about any surface. I also really like the new gunfight and special ops modes. They really bring me back to the Modern Warfare 2 and 3 days, except I now have no friends to play with because they're adults who have their own lives. Even if the maps are f***ing terrible, I still come back to this game every now and then for some team deathmatch or domination. And I see Call of Duty having a bright future with next gen around the corner. I heard the next game is Black Ops 5, and it's set in the Cold War and not the future. Big if true. So me being a Zelda fan, I am contractually obligated to play Link's Awakening. I put off playing this game for about my whole life, so I'm glad I waited until the Switch remake. What did I think of it? Well, it certainly feels like a Game Boy game with a fresh coat of paint. The Game Boy was so limited in power, it caused games on it to be more restrictive, and it shows in Link's Awakening. You can safely assume this game didn't have that much of an impact on me, but it's still great in its own right. The art style is beautiful, the music is Zelda, so of course it's good, and the dungeons just kept getting better and better over time. Even though I love Breath of the Wild, I do miss the old Zelda formula, and Link's Awakening gave that to me in this package. As good as this remake is, the Nintendo Switch would benefit way more from having its own 2D Zelda than one from the Game Boy era. Hopefully Link's Awakening was a test to see what they could do with this Zelda style in the future. Now I love Xbox Game Pass. For just $10 a month, I can play all these games. Oh wait, I can't afford Game Pass right now because I'm broke because 2019. But when I could afford Game Pass, I got to play Gears 5, and what an experience that was. For one, this is the definitive game to play on an Xbox One X. We're talking all 4Ks, all 60 frames per second, and ray-traced shadows. If this is the future of gaming, I'm here for it, baby. Still, I enjoy the Gears of War franchise, and 5 is one of the good ones. I wouldn't say it's the best though, because the open world segments kind of made the game feel shorter than it actually was. That doesn't change the fact though that the gunplay continues to be great, and the story ended in such a way where I'm actually looking forward to Gears 6. Or Gears of War 6, or whatever they decide to call it. I'm not a fan of Dragon Quest, and I'm not a fan of Minecraft, but god damn is Dragon Quest Builders 2 addicting. The whole world is at your disposal, and you can create and do just about anything. You have a hammer that can bash most terrain, gloves that can lift up terrain, and a giant vase that contains an infinite amount of water. I haven't played the first Dragon Quest Builders, but from what I've heard, these are significant quality of life improvements that were drastically needed to improve the experience. Even when I thought I learned all there was to learn, the game threw in something that changed everything. I played this game a lot the month it came out, and then I shied away from it to play the other big releases. But now that I think about it, I really should go back. There's so much more I have to do. The grass isn't going to green itself, you know. Remedy, Remedy, Remedy. What a great studio. When I found out their next game, Control, was going to be some weird supernatural experience with Metroidvania elements, I flew all the way to Finland just to throw money at their headquarters. While there were some blatant issues with performance even on PC, Control really makes you feel like Spider-Man. I mean, in control of everything the more you play. These powers are some of the most rewarding powers I've seen in a video game. Telekinesis, hovering, mind control, and don't forget the pistol can turn into a shotgun or a machine gun. And oh my god, Alan Wake references. We're even getting an Alan Wake expansion. Fuck yes, bring my boy Alan back. Anyway, Control is definitely one of the best experiences I've had this year. And I know some people didn't like it as much due to the story being convoluted and the map being a mess, but also those people are wrong and deserve to never play video games again. I'm just kidding, enjoy what you enjoy, and while you're at it, play Alan Wake. Now I'm honestly surprised this game is on my list, let alone this high up, but The Division 2, oh my god. You're talking to a guy who hates looter shooters, but I guess I don't hate him that much because The Division 2 is one of my favorite games of 2019. This is how you do a looter shooter. You set it in an open world that doesn't take 200 minutes to load, and in that world, you have buildings, each with their own uniquely designed levels. What I appreciate most about this game are the levels. You'd be hard-pressed to find two that look remotely the same. It really shakes up the variety and makes the game more exciting. And if we're talking about rewarding things in video games, the loot in The Division 2 also feels rewarding, making you feel much more powerful as you go on. As someone who enjoys the single-player experiences, I've barely played this game with anyone and I still had a good time. I put in hours upon hours into this game, but like Dragon Quest Builders 2, I also went away from it to play the other big releases. I don't remember the last time I played, so I should really jump back in, shouldn't I? I hear there's another expansion on the way, or is it out yet? I'm really bad at this. Star Wars and EA go together about as well as peanut butter and avocado, but a miracle happened this year in the form of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Developed by Respawn, the creators of one of the best first-person shooters of the decade, they brought the single player back to Star Wars, even if it had a few glitches here and there. This game combines the best of Star Wars, Dark Souls, Tomb Raider, Uncharted, and Metroid all into one unforgettable package. I especially like the implementation of Souls-like combat, something we haven't seen in a Jedi game. It's a lot different than hacking and slashing an army of stormtroopers mercilessly. After all, that is a path to the dark side. There's also a great story in Jedi Fallen Order that expands the lore of the universe and brings back a couple of fan favorites. I haven't heard Star Wars fans complain about it on Twitter yet, so I'm sure it's good. The whole time, I was thinking games like this aren't as easy to come by these days, especially from a company like EA who thinks that single-player games are dying somehow. I was debating whether or not to place this as my number 1 game of the year, though I decided it would have to settle for number 2. Not really because of its weird glitches, but also because I don't really have a desire to go back and play it again, unlike this next one. Luigis Mansion 3 doesn't just get my vote for the best game of 2019, but also the most surprising. Not like any of us expected the game to be bad, but I seriously wasn't expecting it to be that good. We're talking number 1 game in FerrisWheelPro's top 10 games of 2019 good. It certainly helps that I played the first game just weeks before 3, which only made the good parts of 3 that much gooder. The game controls well, the puzzles are creative, and oh my god, that animation. Holy crap, that animation. Do I even need to say anything? Just look at it. Look at it! The creativity of Luigi's Mansion 3 knows no bounds, especially when Luigi is concerned. Sure, he looks weird and creepy, but you won't get anywhere without him. And it's thanks to this edition that the puzzles in this game are just so well designed that I could not help but be impressed. The creativity of this game doesn't stop there though, as each of the 17 floors have their own unique styles to them and their own boss battles at the end. The key word here with Luigi's Mansion 3 is creativity, and that is what this game succeeds the most at. Creativity is how we get unforgettable experiences in video games, and I hope other developers take into account what the team at Next Level Games has done with Luigi's Mansion 3. As such, it deserves the title of my number 1 game of 2019. So those were my top 10 games of 2019. What did you think of my list? Let me know in the comment section down below, and post your own top 10 list. I would like to know your opinions as well. Don't forget to check out my SAC anime giveaway by clicking the Gleam link down in the description below. But in the meantime, I'm going to work on my top 10 games of the decade list. There were a lot of games this decade. It's going to be fun. Thank you guys so much for watching this new episode here on Ferris Wheel Pro. Special thanks goes to my Patreon supporters, Justice to Free, Stephanie Ferris, and Smash JT. You guys are awesome, and if you like this video, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when I upload another one. In the meantime, you've been watching Ferris Wheel Pro, and I'll see you on the next ride.